We're going to talk about abortion today. This is going to be a really fun video. Um, if you are a woman living in the United States, you should be concerned. You honestly should. Your health rights are being turned against you, and several states are doing this right now. Um, Off the top of my head, the list keeps growing, and it's getting harder and harder to keep track of everything that's going on here. We've got Ohio, Missouri, Alabama, Georgia. Um, I reside in West Virginia. We recently passed a bill to defund Planned Parenthood. So yeah, it's not looking great right now. A lot of this is it's got a lot of people concerned, as they should be. Um, so what we're going to do today is go through a few articles and just, information that's pretty public, pretty mainstream right now, and take a look at that and just see how this is all going down, honestly. Okay, so big thing about this video, this is going to be pretty much off the cuff. I'm just pulling up different articles and some different perspectives, mainstream news about what's going on with these laws, how they affect the people residing in those states, and women's rights, of course. So the first one I pulled up here is the Cincinnati.com Enquirer. We're looking at the heartbeat bill. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine signs heartbeat abortion ban. The ACLU promises to sue. Mike DeWine signed one of the nation's most restrictive abortion bans into law Thursday afternoon, and opponents have already pledged to take him to court. I believe that, this was in April. They've been kind of rolling out all these new bills in April and May. And it seems like kind of an active push. It's all happening at once by a lot of these conservative states. The signing of this bill today is consistent with the respect for life and the imperative to protect those who cannot protect themselves, DeWine said moments before signing the bill at the Ohio State House, flanked by GOP legislative leaders and abortion advocates. I mean, you see this picture here. You can see what he's trying to push. Everyone's got their kids in the shot. I don't respect that at all. I think that's really shitty to use your kids as political pawns in this way. And politicians, unfortunately, do this a lot, especially in America. The problem with this bill, though, is they and a few of them are doing this. I want to say the Alabama one also stated this, but we'll go over that here in a minute. Fetal heartbeat, which is basically like there's a big debate about what's life at this stage. They're giving them 6 weeks into a woman's pregnancy, which, as a lot of articles are stating, is way before a woman can even figure out that she's pregnant. A lot of the regular tests aren't going to catch that. You might be able to catch something in a clinic, a heartbeat or signs of life, if you get there early enough and but unless you're actively planning, most people aren't going to see that coming. So we're just going to jump around here. The big problem with this bill and a lot of the bills that are happening in these states is they also they want to punish the physician and also in some cases the woman who gets the abortion. And there's a lot of debate going on about who is punishable and who gets in trouble under these laws when they go into effect. We're going to go into an article about that here in a minute. But it says here, under the bill, doctors would face a 5th-degree felony punishable by up to a year in prison for performing an abortion after detecting a heartbeat. The bill has an exception to save the life of the woman, but no exception for rape or incest, in line with current state law. And that's another issue with, I can't believe that these conservative lawmakers don't see these kind of exceptions where, your existence or, say your mother was raped or whatever. This is so hard to talk about without being really dark. But in that scenario, if she doesn't have the option to do anything about it, and whoever is born out of that has to live with those consequences as well. And it's just amazing that they don't see the exceptions in any of these cases. So, Republican legislators rejected Democratic amendments to expand eligibility for maternal health services and provide access to paid maternity leave. Of course, they did. The Ohio Democratic Party chairman, David Pepper, said the bill takes Ohio in the wrong direction. A woman should have the ability to make her own personal decision about whether or not to become a parent, and no politician should interfere with that decision. The bill is a disgrace, and it will endanger women's lives in Ohio. Yes, it's a health rights issue. I can't imagine that anyone that can't see that, any sort of medical issues leading up to a pregnancy can seriously complicate it. And you'd think that they would take into consideration, consult like some medical professionals about how this bill, the bills like it, could affect people, in general, especially women. So let's jump around here a little bit. Okay, here's a good one. You can still get an abortion in Alabama and Georgia. This, I'm not really sure what the goal of this article was. It seems very, like, almost clickbait. Abortion is still legal in Alabama and Georgia, but you wouldn't know it from the rapid spread of misinformation and alarming headlines following the passage of two of the most extreme abortion bans in the nation. So I've already gone through this article a little bit. Basically, this article is trying to say that there's a lot of misinformation going on about when these laws go into effect and who they affect. And it kind of slams like the Handmaid's Tale, the imagery of that's been going around. There's been a lot of pictures of women protesting, wearing the red outfit from the show. And that's, I'm not really sure what the goal here is, because he points out, I think it's a he, the writer here. No, she, Andrea. The muddled language of these measures, which allows for people to theorize how these bans could potentially impact patients and what the larger implications might be, is one of the reasons behind this disinformation. See the ultimate goal of overturning Roe v. Wade. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, that was the whole point of them moving around the Supreme Court and Donald Trump making his appointment. I don't even want to say that fucking guy's name, but that's, to me, it always seemed like the goal. And as states push towards that, it makes it easier for them to push towards that, especially if it goes to the Supreme Court. If the ACLU or any group gets the chance to challenge any of this in the Supreme Court, well, now they have conservative strength, in that department. There's a lot of over-interpreting of what these bans could mean. I'm not trying to scare anybody to think it's even worse than it already is. Rola Abi Samra, an organizer in Georgia with the National Asian Pacific American Women's Forum, told Refinery 29. That's probably an issue with our source here. It's already really bad to say that there's a law designed to prevent abortion care. And I'm not even we're just gonna jump over that. What is Alabama's HB 314, the Human Life Protection Act? It bans abortion at any stage of gestation, except in cases in which a woman's life is in danger. It makes no exceptions for rape and incest. So they got half of it there, I guess, but they still don't want to. I think it's a societal thing where we don't want to acknowledge that kind of shit happens, despite how regular it is, and it's scary that they don't want to tackle something like that. So the legislation makes performing an abortion a felony offense and would punish health providers with a minimum of 10 years in prison and a maximum of 99 years. It was signed into law by Governor Kay Ivey on May 15th. I mean, this that this is where people are starting to, kind of draw lines between, well, you can do this and get punished so many years for an abortion. But lately, it seems like if you're a rich white male or, favorable at all, you can commit rape and probably get less time than, a medical provider doing a procedure that might save someone else's life. It's baffling. What is Georgia's HB 481, the Living Infants Fairness and Equality Act? You can kind of hear the Christianity, what's the word I'm looking for? The evangelism in that one. So this was signed into law by Governor Brian Kemp on May 7th. It's part of a so-called wave of heartbeat bills. And I don't know what the writer seems to be like, well, it's real and it's happening, but it's not. The measure bans abortion once a fetal heartbeat, more accurately, fetal pole cardiac activity is detected. Which typically happens at around 6 weeks of gestation, just like the Ohio bill, before many women know they're pregnant. This one does make exceptions for rape, incest, and when the woman's life is in danger. So a little bit better. They don't really need to put the time span on here then. And that's what's kind of confusing about this one to me. So, they'll make exceptions for dangerous cases. But if it's somebody's life choice and they waited, they didn't know they were pregnant beyond the 6 week mark there, then it's their fault. So, not sure how, they could definitely do better with that one. Let's see. And this is kind of the problem with this article too, is it's like, well, you could still do it, it's still okay, it's still, it's still legal up to this point, and then it basically says no, once these go in effect November 2019, Georgia's bill will go in effect January 2020. At that point, no dice. And I mean, that's kind of what the headline should have addressed to begin with. How long? At what point does this go into effect? Not, you could still do it. It's okay. Alabama patients can legally terminate their pregnancies up until 21.6 weeks of pregnancy. Women seeking to terminate an abortion must undergo a 48-hour waiting period and state-mandated counseling before they can access the procedure. Excuse me. In Georgia, women can obtain an abortion up to 22 weeks. To obtain abortion care, and they must undergo a 24-hour waiting period. So I mean, that seems fine. Like, I don't understand why do we need to change it and push back? It seems like it's just kind of a power move. That these guys, the lawmakers, especially the conservative ones, don't like this stuff. And that's really it. They think it's bad. It's scary. And then, we have the whole pro-life problem with that sect anyways. What happens to women who get an abortion if it's considered a crime? Alabama's ban does criminalize abortion providers, but not women who seek this type of care. In Georgia, however, it's a bit more complicated. The fetal heartbeat ban does not explicitly say women who terminate their pregnancies are exempt from prosecution. However, legal experts believe that women would not be criminalized under HB 481 because the state's legal code offers specific protections for women. So, and that's an issue where the state's code is going to conflict with this new law, and they're going to have to probably settle that in court somehow. The issue with and that's kind of, if it seems like that's why they're calling it the whole heartbeat deal anyways, is to say, oh well, there's human life here. And to me that's a slippery slope to calling it manslaughter. Just and that's happened in cases of women being pregnant and getting killed or getting hurt in accidents, where they do put that pregnancy as a charge of homicide, manslaughter, whatever. And it seems like they want to put that on women. To me, at least, that's what I see here. It might not ever get to that, but it seems like what they want. And as kind of addressing what I said a minute ago, if there's a legal challenge, will the U.S. Supreme Court take on these cases? Yeah. Many anti-choice lawmakers feel emboldened by Trump administration and the conservative majority in the U.S. Supreme Court. It was the whole reason. I mean, it's control. That's how it works. They want to have majority. By passing these extreme abortion bans, they're hoping to bring the legal challenge that would overturn Roe v. Wade. And I can't believe the fucking author of this article does not seem concerned about that. I mean, that should be if once these laws go into effect, what happens next? What do these states do next, or states nearby kind of following suit with what they're doing? And that's what we're seeing. But it'll take a while to get there. The problem is that in the meantime, while legal challenges move slowly through the courts, patients in these states will be caught in the crossfire. Well, yeah, and that's so. Why didn't you advocate that in the article? I know we're probably trying to be unbiased to a certain degree, but the fact that they're trying to eliminate concern within this article doesn't make much sense to me.